Hello and welcome back to Big City Stacking. All right, so today is not a happy one. Today we got a scam alert. So I found the headline, it was on the Washington Post. I'm going to put the link in the description. A woman lost $789,000 in a gold bar scam, police say. Then she turned the tables. So they caught the guy, but I don't know if the victim will be able to get her money back. That's always the biggest, the hardest part of all this. You can catch the people, but can you get it back? Now, it's a gold bar scam, so they took a physical thing from her. She should be able to identify that. It's a little bit easier than cash to disappear, or harder. It's harder for a gold bar to disappear than cash. So she might be able to recover some of her losses. Here we go. The woman, whom police identified as victim one in court filings to protect her privacy, said that in February she received a phone call from a man who identified himself as Mark Cooper. Mark Cooper from the Office of the Inspector General, Federal Trade Commission. The purported Mark Cooper told the woman she had been a victim of identity theft and had led to a federal drug and money laundering probe. The man then put the woman in contact with someone who identified himself as Officer David Freeman, who said he could provide her with a new Social Security number and witness protection, but only at the conclusion of his investigation after she had fully cooperated, according to the affidavit. I'm going to stop right there, because police officers do not give out new Social Security numbers to anyone ever. That is not a legal thing they do. That is not in their privy. That is not serving and protecting. Only the Social Security Administration deals with Social Security numbers. If you did not know that, take that bit of information away from here. But let's continue. So she got a phone call, sounded official. They threw a bunch of government agencies and names at her and then put her in touch with a second person. I think that might have been what got this person. Because if one person on the phone just tells you whatever, you might believe it. But then when they put you in touch with somebody else that's also backing up this story. But did that, I'm just curious how many questions they asked. Because a lot of this doesn't make sense already. The Federal Trade Commission doesn't do anything with private citizens. The FTC enforces federal consumer protection laws that prevent fraud, deception, and unfair business practices. So like when people want to join or merge and somebody says, no, that would be a monopoly, that's unfair to people, that's the FTC. That's what they do. To ensure her cooperation and secure her assets, victim one was directed to purchase gold bars. So this individual wasn't a stacker. I know if you're a stacker, you're definitely one of those, what we call, a savvy individual. You're not just going to turn your gold or silver over to anybody because they call you up and tell you to. But for some reason, she was they lied to her, so she was under the impression that she was helping law enforcement in her actions. The victim wired her first payment of $331,817.54 to a gold dealer on February 21st. 2 weeks later, as she stayed in touch with the scammers with screenshots of her order status, she gave them confirmation that she ordered bars on their behalf or at their behest. The scammers then told her to meet a courier in a parking lot near Leisure World. She did so, placing the boxed up gold in the back of the courier's car, which then drove away. Police say the scammer struck again the next day, persuading the woman to wire $457,410.34 to a gold dealer for more gold bars. On March 8th, she again met the courier, this time at a nearby but different parking lot, handed over the second package. The driver behind the wheel of a Dodge Ram truck bearing New York license plates drove away. 2 days later, realizing she had been scammed, the woman called police. So I don't know if she spoke with somebody or it just started to feel wrong. Anytime you get that phone call that, you're in trouble or you've done something, ask questions. Or how was my name involved in this scam? Why are you looking at me? Why would I need witness protection if I don't know anything about the people that are laundering money or drugs, quote unquote, with my identity? As you say, Office of the Attorney General, Mr. FTC, Mr. Cooper. But yeah, and that's crazy. I feel so bad. And it seems like they always try, it seemed like it was an older lady that was taken advantage of. When it says she turned the tables, they used a cop to impersonate her to give over another package to get the person that scammed her. But that's crazy, and it clearly wasn't a stacker, but anybody can be taken advantage of. Anybody can get got. The scammers are out there, the hackers are out there. So you have to be careful and protect what you have with everything you have. It's crazy. So yeah, at the third time, they had an undercover cop meet this individual, and that's how they got this guy. Investigators had the woman continue to communicate with the scammers, telling them she had more gold bars to lure them back. Even as police worried the scammers might sniff out the ruse, criminals are greedy. They're probably going to fall for it. It worked. This time they were waiting. A team of financial crimes detectives, undercover officers, they had a package overnighted from Amazon. And just past 7 p.m. on Monday, a black Jeep Wagoneer driven by the individual who was arrested arrived at Leisure World for the new package of gold, and that's when undercover officers got him. So I'm glad they got this person off the street. But they said people fall for this, from lawyers to doctors to CEOs, which is crazy to me. But that just says to me that book smarts aren't everything. You definitely need to be a little street savvy. And if you ever get a phone call that somebody wants you to send them anything, that's the thing. Like, it's the second transaction is what really sets this off. Because once the gold arrives, Custer said the swindlers only need to persuade their targets to hand it over, a strategy that avoids the victim having to physically go into a bank to withdraw money, which can raise suspicions of alert tellers and bankers. So anytime you go and try to take that much money out of a bank, whole bunch of red flags. But if they get you to send that money to somebody else or send that money to them, then they are getting it scot-free. My sister, a couple years ago, was looking for work on the internet. And somebody contacted her and said, okay, yeah, we'll pay you to search some things for us. And she was just using Google and Google searching whatever they asked. So a little bit of busy work that didn't make sense to what they were looking for from me, as she told me about it. They sent her a check, told her to deposit it, then buy gift cards and send the gift cards to them, or send it off. Red flag. If they got checks, why are they sending it to you? Why they don't just buy their own gift cards if that's their end game? Because they want you to deposit that money in the check, in your account, that bogus check. And then when it bounces and they pull that money out your account's in the negative because it wasn't a real check. They either use phony routing numbers, or it's a fake account that doesn't exist, or it doesn't have any funds in it. And then when you put that money in your account, yeah, your bank fronts it when it shows as available, but they want you to withdraw it right away. Never do that for anybody you don't know, because it's a bogus check, and then when the bank finds out, they're going to pull it back out your account. But you already pulled that money out, spend it on gift cards, and send it to somebody. So anytime there's like a two-step procedure like that somebody's trying to get you to do, immediately start asking a lot of questions. She told them her brother was an officer, and they stopped communicating completely. Now, I am not a law enforcement officer, nor is any of this financial advice, but it begs to, you just have to ask these questions. The FTC doesn't get involved in money or drug laundering. But again, they were taking advantage of older people, so it's easy. But you, as a stacker, need to know. The ATF doesn't bust like local dealers. Like, this has to be like a big, massive operation, maybe across state lines or something, if like they're involved. But that name wasn't even dropped. It's just real sad, but shows how careful you have to be. and book smarts aren't everything. You definitely need to be street smart. If you are a stacker and got that phone call, I think you would be a lot less inclined to actually fall for it. So that's comforting. But there are people who are not. So this could happen to my parents, your parents, any older person can be taken advantage of. Sounds like younger people too. So just make sure you ask the right questions when you get a strange phone call. As a matter of fact, if you get a phone call, don't do anything, because if the government wants money from you, they put it in writing. They're going to send you a letter, and it's going to come from the IRS, and it's going to say, hey, you owe this, or hey, you haven't paid that. If the government ever wants anything from you, it's in writing. And, perhaps this individual was old enough to remember gold confiscation. I'm not entirely sure. But the government doesn't want your 1, 5, 10 ounces of gold. If anything, they're making moves with 1,000-ounce bars. They don't want 10 here, 10 there, 10 there, 5 here. That doesn't do anything for the government. That's not a piss in a bucket. Not a drop. So just be aware. The story's out there. I put it in my description. Share it with people you know and care about. The scams are real. The hackers are real. You have to be real diligent to avoid them all. So just take this one to heart, and be safe and be careful out there. I'll see you guys next time. Fly, Eagles, fly.